Hello and welcome back to Holding Heritage. This is Holly, and I know it's been a while since I posted a new episode, but I'm here today and super excited to talk about and do a bit of solo reflection on a project that I've been working really hard on around the last year or so. It's a video series project that I created in partnership with Tell a Story Hive, and all of the episodes are available for you to watch and listen on Spotify. All of them have subtitles in both English and traditional Chinese, so I really hope that you enjoy it. And if you want to know a little bit about the backstory around how I came to make this series and a little bit about what went into it, then this is the episode to listen to. So to start, it was kind of early last year, early 2024, that I had come across some grant programs that were available through Tell a Story Hive. They're offered to local BC and Alberta content creators to apply. And the program that actually caught my eye initially was their video podcast program, and they were promoting it, so I saw it on social media. And of course, since I have already done work through the podcast, I felt like it could be a good opportunity. Honestly though, at the time I was looking at it and I didn't think of myself as a content creator, but really all I felt was I don't really have anything to lose by just applying. So I did. And if you haven't heard about Tell a Story Hive programs, I would absolutely recommend them, especially to aspiring creators. There's really no downside to applying, and they give you really great support. You get to meet cool people. And for me, a lot of it was just accountability. I've always wanted to create something, but I think having those deadlines, having more of a purpose, having a team behind you really helps to bring that into fruition. So check out Tell a Story Hive if you are an aspiring creator or if you're curious. So anyways, I applied for the podcast program, and while I was waiting for that, they had also emailed me about their Voices program and said that it was kind of similar program, and so I ended up applying for that one as well. Long story short, I didn't receive the video podcast program, and to be honest, I was more bummed than I thought I would be, because I did go into it saying, I just don't have anything to lose. But I think when I didn't receive it, it felt a little bit like a reminder to myself of how much I actually really do want to create. And so I really didn't have any expectations for the Voices program, but I was so happy when I finally got the notification that I was selected as one of the creators for it. So the thing about the Voices program is that it was definitely out of my comfort zone. I had never produced anything of video format before, and it just felt so new. Looking back on it now, I do think that the Voices program maybe was a better fit for the idea that I had for the series, and hopefully once you go and watch it, you'll also understand and get that vibe as well. Really, my idea was thinking about Holding Heritage, and the podcast episodes that I have already done. They were a lot, or most of them really, were me talking to my family members and asking them about their stories and being able to document those. Two things that I thought would be really awesome to do through a video series, through the Voices program, was first being able to see people's faces, of course. Doing podcast and just audio content does give a lot more emotion than just writing articles or writing books, and that's really what I loved about it. But thinking about actually being able to see reactions and see body language was a huge thing that I really wanted to try doing. The second thing was that, coming off of a lot of the episodes that I had done previously on the show was, for example, I would talk to one of my uncles, and afterwards I would then go to my cousins and say, wow, did you know that your dad did this? Or that your dad grew up here, and et cetera, et cetera. And so getting the reactions from my cousins then of being like, oh no, I had no idea, or we've never talked about that before, he never said that before. That was something that I was really curious about, of whether I could try to feature conversations between generations, and not have me be I guess, a key facilitator in that. Where that really came from was, I think that it's a lot more powerful when it comes from somebody in your family. If it's your daughter, if it's your son, if it's your grandchild coming to you and saying, I would love to have this conversation with you, or I have these questions that I've never asked that I want to ask, or I want to know about your childhood. All of these things, I think the power of that really hits differently than just a typical interview. So that was something that I really wanted to try to feature. I hadn't really seen that be a focus in any other content piece that I had seen. So again, this is something that was very new to me. It felt very out of my comfort zone, but I thought, why the heck not? Let's try it out. So I started reaching out to people that I knew. Most of them were friends that I met in university. The first one being Julian Falk. He is an incredible videographer and photographer. I met Julian in university, and ever since then I had been following all of the things that he had been doing, and I loved his style. So approaching him and asking him if he would be a part of this project, if this would be something that he was interested in, was kind of my first connection. And I was so pleased and thankful that he was into the idea. And I knew that he was also interested in the topic of intergenerational connections. And so that was like a huge added bonus. And then I also knew that in the series, I wanted to find a way to get over the language barrier. We talk about that so much. And when it comes to emotions and asking these deep questions, one of the biggest things that kind of gets in the way, I think, is language sometimes. And so I was thinking, how can we make both the younger and older generations feel comfortable saying what they really want to say? And one of the biggest things there is, being able to understand them in their mother tongue. So that's where this idea of really wanting a live translator came in. And it wasn't just about translating, it was about choosing somebody who not only understood the meaning of the project, but was able to really connect easily with the people that we were talking to be able to understand both sides and both perspectives of the generations that we're speaking to. And so I just feel incredibly lucky that one of my good friends, Jackie, he and I met in university. And, it's funny because in university, I knew that we both spoke Cantonese, but I always felt very shy speaking Cantonese to him. And if you ask him, my Cantonese was very poor back then. Still not very good, but it's definitely something that I'm working on. And Jackie and I have a lot of similarities in the way that we think, in the way that we interact. And he had met some of my family members prior to launching this project. And so I felt like it was such a good fit, and I was so happy that he was actually interested in working on this project with me. And so me, Julian, and Jackie made up really the core team of this project. And in the end, I could not have asked for a better team. I think we worked so well together, and we were able to really make everyone that we interacted with feel comfortable, and the gratitude that came from everybody in the room while doing these episodes, filming these episodes, having these conversations was just incredible. I think one of the biggest things that I didn't expect through filming the series is how, not easy, but how willing everybody was to share and to ask questions. And it has really, really validated my thought, or kind of guess, around most people do really want to share. I don't want to say everybody, because I understand that it can be challenging, and not everybody has the same types of family dynamics and relationships, and there's so much that gets in the way. But, you know, we had a bunch of different guests, and all at varying levels of relationship with their, or relationship between each other. And I think at every level we were able to get really real conversation come out. And what I hope that this series does is encourage people who are watching to just ask more questions, or to engage with their families more, or to see that, you know, maybe these conversations are worth having, even though they are challenging to start, or it doesn't feel comfortable to have them. These are all things that Jackie, Julian, and I really talk about in episode 7, by the way. So that one's more of a behind the scenes episode where me, Jackie, and Julian go through the whole process, all of us together reflecting back on and watching some of the most memorable clips. So if you want to know our thoughts collectively on that, make sure to go and check out episode 7. But yeah, there's so much that I can say about this series. It has definitely been one of the most challenging things that I've ever done, especially, you know, while still having a full-time job and balancing all of this. It's funny because I kind of look back and I feel like I blacked out a little bit. Like, I'm not sure how I even got all of this together. And I learned so much within the span of a year. And I'm just so grateful for everybody who was willing to have these conversations, to be featured, to help with translations, to help with music. I had one of my friends, Derek, who composed all of the music for the series, and you will see it's just incredible. He did an amazing job, and the series wouldn't be the same without the music that he created. And so there have been so many people a part of this project, even just helping me emotionally get through this, logistically get through this. And so I really hope that you will check out this series and maybe even watch it with a family member. We're also hoping to have some community screenings or showings of this in Vancouver, so those will be announced at a later date. But if you are interested, I would love to see you at one of the events, and I would love to hear what you think about the series in general. So make sure to let me know. You can either comment on this episode, or you can email me at holly@holdingheritage.com. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you everybody who was involved, and I will see you very, very soon. Bye.